Spring game talk, and you got to talk to one of the great Blackshirts.
You are Locked On Huskers, your daily podcast on the Nebraska Cornhuskers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, gang? DP here, Locked On Huskers. Thank you for making Locked On Huskers your first watch and listen each and every single day. Greatly appreciate it. I want to thank the folks from FanDuel Sportsbook. Of course, it's the NBA's official sportsbook. But hey, baseball's around the corner, a lot of things, a lot of new customers. You can step up to the plate. No sweat first bet, up to $1,000. Just go to FanDuel.com/LockedOn. Sign up, place your first bet, and get up to $1,000 back in bonus bets if you don't win. How about that? Make every moment more. That's some good stuff right there. Let's get into it. Spring game on a Tuesday. What we're talking about are a couple of things. One, I want to talk about the transfer portal. Two, I want to talk about the new 3-3-5 scheme. I want to talk about what's going on in the minds of these young Huskers, because this is spring week. Spring week was a big deal. Let's bring in the black shirt himself. All-American Terrell Farley. T. Farley, what's happening, brother?
How you doing, brother?
It's good. Thanks for doing this. To talk about, first of all, a big weekend in Nebraska with the spring game and the return of Frank Solich. I want to ask you your immediate thoughts when you hear the name Frank Solich.
Frank Solich, he was a great coach. He's one of the many loyal assistants that Coach Osborne had for over 20 years on his coaching staff. I like Frank. I like everything he did while he was here. Hate to see him leave when he left in 2004 or 5, whatever it was, but I have so much respect for the guy to go somewhere else and make a name for himself, get a football stadium named after him, a field, and now we got a locker room named after him. It just show you how much loyal we are to former Nebraska assistants, and he was one of the top ones. Yeah,
one of the greats that stood side by side with Tom Osborne during the run, played at the University of Nebraska. Yeah, the dismissal and the final return, I think it's a big deal. And based on talking to all the former Huskers, this was a big deal this weekend. Why is it so big of a deal for Frank Solich to come back to Lincoln?
Because it's like the saying, once a Husker, always a Husker. And he's played for the Huskers. He's coached the Huskers. He was part of this university probably for over 25 years. And, I just think it was the right thing to do.
Nebraska has a recent history of getting in its own way. Now, you as a black shirt and somebody that's you've got skin in the game, literally, body parts all over Memorial Stadium from your work and your time here. What is it that you want from Matt Rhule and this version of the Husker football team?
I want them to bring the winning back to Nebraska. I want the ways, not to be the laughing stock of the college football like we've been for the last 8 to 9 years. Matt Rhule has a great track record. He's a great coach. I wouldn't say he has to learn the Nebraska way. He has to learn his own way. And that's a big thing in Nebraska, because one day the fans will love you and the next day they'll hate you. So, he got to do things his way, and, he got to be honest to himself, and that's the thing about Nebraska, that, football is the only thing we have in this state. So, we want the Huskers to be relevant. We want them to be great. So we know it takes time, but, we got to get back to the way we used to play football.
Let me ask you this question, Farley. What's the thing that's missing now that you had in abundance during your national championship runs? Is it talent? Is it development? Is it scheme? What is it that's missing? What's the first thing that comes to mind when you say, this is what's missing, this will make it better?
Well, we got great players. I think we haven't developed them right and get everything you need out of them. That can be several things. That can come from the weight room. That can come from coaching. It can come from, just they're not ready yet. But we have great players, and I would love to see these players turn it on and get aggressive and, just be that team that we used to be.
A lot of the discussion this week, not only about Frank Solich, also about the mascot Herbie, but then it becomes about the new facility. You were here when Nebraska's then facility was state of the art. How important is it for a player to have a facility that's state of the art, best in line?
Well, I wouldn't really say facility. I would say winning. Winning brings players, and the facility adds a plus to it. So, first thing we need to do is win games. And then, you could let the facility take care of itself, because that's what it's going to do. If it's state of the art, they're going to love it. But if you're a 3-9 team, nobody's going to love it, because you're not going to get the joy out of it.
I'm glad you said that, because I've been screaming that from the mountaintops, that the distraction of the new facility and the fundraising and all that talk takes away from what the mission is. And we'll go through it over the course of this episode in the later segment, because I want to talk about that. But the big story for me this weekend was defense. Tony White, 335, he unleashed a lot of new young players defensively. As a defender, what did it look like to you?
It looked great. I mean, for the little amount of time they had to learn the 335, I know he didn't throw everything at him. I knew it was just basic defensive stuff, but I really like some of the players he got out there, like MJ Sherman. If we can get 3-4 more of him, and and keep bringing in great athletes that can adapt to Nebraska way in Nebraska football, because it's different up here. I mean, it's you got to get players that can play in this weather. So that 335 it's a mysterious defense, but the things I've seen out of it, I've seen great things out of it. And with the young guys like the Cameron Lenhart, what's his name, 75, I can't think of his name, Noonan, Noonan guy. Yeah. To have these kids in here that early for spring ball, we need to try to get more kids that can come out of high school and be in spring ball, and it gives them a better chance to play. Now, I don't know if these two guys can play, but they got a chance to show that they was able to line up against college kids early and to prove themselves. Now, I like Cameron Lenhart. I like MJ Sherman. I like Elijah Judy. If we could just get them to mash together with the next and probably bring in some freshmen that come in like a linebacker from Tulsa, Oklahoma, we might have a great chance to have a great defense. The secondary has always been on point. We just got to give them the tackle better. That comes with more practice. But like I said, I like everything about the defense. It's just they got to learn how to play together.
We'll throw the break here. When we come back, I'm going to ask Farley about 3 players on defense who did not play Saturday and how important they are and where they stand with Tony White and this Husker defense. We'll talk about Ty Robinson. We'll talk about Luke Reimers. We'll talk about Nick Heinrich when we come back to Locked On. Welcome back to Locked On Huskers. And once again, thank you for making Locked On Huskers your first watch and listen each and every single day. You everydayers, you're appreciated. You folks who clock in and punch in and show up in the comment sections every day, you're appreciated. Go down, hit the subscribe button as well. Let's get those numbers where they need to be. We do want to talk about the folks, the NFL mock draft. And Thursday's a big day. The NFL mock draft, Locked On in the NFL mock draft. You've got until Thursday. They'll break it down for you, but you can find it on YouTube or wherever you consume your podcast. Let me say this, Farley. We were watching the young dudes, but a piece of me felt like I could only give an incomplete grade to the defense because we didn't see Ty Robinson. We didn't see Luke. Those are 3 defensive captains, and we didn't see them Saturday. What does that mean? In your mind, is this just, you know what, let them recover, we don't need to see them now, chance to see the young folks, not really worry about it, or should they be concerned about a new scheme, a new coach, and new players around?
Well, first, they missed the install of the defense, and that's gonna hurt in the fall, especially with 2 middle linebackers who supposed to make the call. So it's kind of hard now with Ty Robinson. He's a big guy, so he got to learn everything, and I'm not a fan of players missing spring like that. So you gotta learn as you go, and that's gonna be probably the hardest part for them when fall starts, is trying to get the blitzes in, trying to get the calls in, trying to just adapt to that 3-3-5. Now you got guys who who got an up on them already. Can those guys close the gap? I don't know. I got to wait till Henrich and Reimer plays. But, I think it's best for them to just get ready now and be ready for the summer workouts, the summer passing leagues, and just workouts.
Through spring practice and the build-up, again, new coach, new roster, new scheme, all of those things in play. And then the end result you get Saturday where you've got 8 fumbles on the ground, you've got 18 tackles for losses. What happens Monday after spring game for players? What happens after your spring game? Are you in film study based on the game itself? Are you in training? Are you in rehab? What happens for the player the Monday and Tuesday after spring game?
Well, I know mostly what we did, we met with coaches and, we had a great defense. We already had 6-7 guys coming back. So we knew basically who was the starters. We knew that we had two young guys that was coming in that can start for us at any time, and Ralph and Mike Brown. So we did adjust when they came in. But, these players, they got to get ready now. I mean, this is the time where school is almost over. If you do go home, you go home for a week or so and you come right back, you get ready for summer ball. And that means have all 110 guys, walk-ons and everybody in there, because now it's crunch time. It's do or die time. And that's where you find out where the guys that want to play football, do they come? Do they go home? Do they leave? Do they come back early? Do they lift weights every day? Do they come to the 7-on-7 drills? Do they do the obstacle and run and pull each other together? The summertime is one of the most important times to be in college football, because you don't get no summer. This is like a 12-month job every day. I mean, you got to live it, learn it, love it, just keep going.
You talked about the young guys who got an opportunity and stepped up and made plays. That tells your story, because you, as an incoming freshman and as a sophomore, you were put in play. You were put in good situations for you and your skill set. What do you say to the young people? Like, what lessons did you learn about being the young guy and finding your way in the Nebraska defense?
Well, if you're gonna make a mistake, make it full speed, and that's one of the reasons why they tell you that, because as long as you're going full speed, you never put yourself out of a play. You're just a step behind, so you catch up and you keep learning. I mean, the older guys got to help these young guys. It just can't be the young guys learning on the fly. I mean, I had great help from Doug Coleman and Phil Ellis, and even the guy I battled the position with, he helped me. So, it's more of a team effort than an individual effort.
I want to talk about some of the guys that you just mentioned. Let's roll through that defense, that crazy Blackshirt defense. Let's talk about your freshman year. Who were the guys?
Well, my junior year, I transferred.
Junior year, okay.
So, my front line, I had Jason Peters, Christian Peters, Jared Thomas, and Grant Wisdom.
What?
I can't.
Yeah, that's a lot. Yeah.
I can't describe how it was to play with them. They were great. I was free most of the time because those guys demand double teams. And when you got to double team 2 guys on 2 plays and leave that wheel linebacker, which is the weak side linebacker, it leaves them open a lot. And I'm not going to say I guess, the defense was based off the weak side linebacker making a lot of tackles. So, I led the team in tackles my junior year, and it was just great having them guys. And then with Jay Foreman on the other side of me, and Phil and Doug were switching in and out, and then the back 4 was just as great as the front 7. So it was a great defense to play with, and I wouldn't trade them 10 guys in for anything.
I've heard you and Jay talk about practices and how competitive it was, and the offense swears that they held their own against that Blackshirt defense. What were some of the practices like back in the day?
Well, our Wednesday was our hardest day. So we go one-on-ones on Wednesday. We do like 14 plays, start off with goal line, then we go at it. I mean, they gave offense so much accolades, and they was this and that it made us, it didn't make us. We knew that we can hold our own against them. So it wasn't it was a fight or grueling battle more than it was just, doing 14 plays.
Where do you rank that offense versus the other offenses you faced that year?
I would rank them better than any offense we probably ever played because, first of all, other offenses couldn't handle our blitz. They couldn't handle Christian Peters or Jason Peters one-on-one. Now, we had a big offensive line that could handle probably one of them without trying to double team them, but they still knew at the end of the day what time it was because, once we got physical with them and showed them how we attack and things got, it got kind of beside ourselves out there. Like I said, it was more than – it was a fight more than a dog fight more than a scrimmage.
Is there a favorite game in your career while you were here?
I got two of them, really. I can say my first game and probably the national championship game. My first game I got in, probably second series of the game, caught an interception, ran it back for a touchdown. Last game was Florida in the national championship game, making 8 tackles, 2 sacks, and didn't even play the fourth quarter. And, I dropped the interception like the third play of the game, so that really kind of put a bummer on me. Then they took away my safety. So, but it just makes you play harder and keep playing.
That's that's so good. That is so good. We'll throw it. We'll take another break here. We'll come back. We'll close out with the black shirt himself. Once again, thank you all for making Locked On Huskers your first watch and listen each and every single day. I want to thank the black shirt, Terrell Farley, for sitting in today. And over the course of this week, we'll talk to some other we'll talk to Jay Foreman. We'll talk to Coach Kenny Wilhite. We'll talk to some other Huskers and just talk about what happens now throughout the spring. This is this thing. So today, the news is that Richard Torres enters the transfer portal. They are still above numbers in scholarships, so this can't be the only move. Terrell, I'll ask you, is it getting down to 85 or is it getting down to 80 so that you can go and get some players? Do you think this team is talented enough with its best 85?
Well, first of all, I'd like to say I feel sorry that this have to happen to these guys because these guys, they came here for 4 years, and for this to happen that they're making it like NFL where, hey, bring me your playbook. So, I would probably, like you said, I'll probably leave 80 for 5 more for the transfer portal. I think we can get better. I think we still need a number 1 receiver. I still think we need some speed on the linebacker. And I just feel like, I can't say if it's right or wrong, but, I just say these guys got to, they got to fight for positions. And at the end of the day, 10 guys got to go. So I don't, I really don't want to say something that, that'll make it feel bad. But I feel bad for some of these guys that got to be pushed out.
I thought Torres, from a talent standpoint, an arm talent standpoint, that Torres was the most impressive player in the quarterback room. And maybe he just felt like he wasn't going to get an opportunity, but that's kind of how it works. I like to tell people, and you correct me if I'm wrong, that the transfer portal, while it has this new phrase, junior college football, that's literally what the transfer portal was a chance for you to develop and reset yourself, right?
Yeah, I mean, I went to JUCO, I didn't have the grades, but I had to. But it also taught me how to, be taught on a smaller college level and to improve myself. I never gained any weight in college, but I still was.
You haven't gained any weight now.
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
I was still able to play linebacker, but like I say, some of these guys they got to find new homes. But the good thing is that Torres is still young. I mean, he still has 4 years of eligibility. So he can get out there. Now, if you got a guy who's a junior or a senior, I mean, because not everybody get picked up in the portal. So, that's like lost in space. So, that's a good thing about the portal. The bad thing is you don't get picked up. So, it goes both ways. So hopefully these guys can find a home or, even go to one of these small schools outside of Nebraska or make Kearney better or make the other Dome better or whatever they feel like it. But, I really don't want to talk a lot about it because I just,
it's tough.
It's tough to lose guys who thought they would be here 4 years and now they only going to be here a year and now they got to go find another home.
It's gonna get worse before it gets better.
Yeah.
The next couple of days, The exit process after the interview process after spring game is maybe the toughest day that a coach has to go through, because he's got to sit down with players, each player, and tell them it's going to be tough. But Nebraska's going to have their hands full. What is your expectation, and what is your win total expectation for Matt Rhule currently?
Oh boy, you put me on the spot there. I would say 5 to 6 games. Just based on it depends who wins this quarterback battle. I mean, we don't have a healthy Casey. We got a Jeff Sims that we seen small bits of flashes from the spring game. Running back is still up in the air. I still think we can go to the portal and get a tight end, a receiver. But the sky's the limit for this team. But I'm gonna try to stick at about 6.
6. That's been his standard, and that's what folks are talking about. And of course, all the betting folks, they say they agree with you. They think 6 or plus 6.5 is kind of where it lands. Terrell Farley, Blackshirt, appreciate you, brother.
Thank you, sir.
Good stuff along the way. Again, thank you, folks, for making Locked On Huskers your first watch and listen each and every single day. We'll close it with the 3 words that mean so much. Go Big Red.